Hey everybody, Jake here with Clinetimephotography. Welcome back to the YouTube channel. Hopefully you guys have been enjoying all the videos that we've been putting up. Today we're going to be talking about our Skottle, and I'm sure if you guys are looking at this video right now, it's probably because you thought about making one of these or you thought about buying one. And a couple companies that do make them sell them for about $300. So if you're like me, you kind of thought, I think I could build one of those myself. So yeah, I'm going to just go with that option. So yes, everything I built here, I built myself, built it right here at home. So yeah, we're going to do a quick little walkthrough, and I wanted to really make sure before I put this video out there that we really used the Skottle, we got all the kinks worked out of it, used it in different weather and different types of climate, elevation, everything like that for you guys. So you guys all got, that really good info that we're about to give you guys. So with that being said, let's get to it. All right, everyone. So we're going to talk about some components here. So obviously our first component is our Skottle setup itself. Now, this here is a plow disc. Now, there's a couple different ways that you can do this. Now, there's a plow disc, or you can choose the discata. The discata is kind of a lot more like a cast iron. It's very thick, which is going to take a little bit more heat to heat up for when you're cooking and stuff like that. For Nicole and I's camping, as I'm sure all of you are well aware, we typically go from place to place to place camping. So we like to camp our or cook our food relatively quickly. So I chose to do a plow disc for our Skottle setup because it will heat up a lot faster than the other type of discata disc, which is very nice. Now, this here is a 16-inch plow disc. And if you look closely here as well, you have your square right here. You will need to fill in that square with a similar metal, so do keep that in mind if you are thinking about going this route. As far as getting the plow disc, you can get them from Tractor Supply. Do note though that if you do order these from Tractor Supply, they will come ready to go for a plow. So they are going to have a very thick coating of paint on them on both sides. And of course, you're going to want to take that paint off, which is going to require some work. That was probably one of the harder parts of this project, was getting that paint off. I personally just used a grinding clean off disc and then went through a bunch of those because the paint on here was very thick, so it kept getting onto the disc and it was hard to get off. So just keep that in mind. Now, coming over to our other pieces, we're going to talk a little bit more about this. You see how I kind of have a black coating on the bottom here, right? So what some people will do is they will actually leave the metal bare, and then they will season not only the top but also the bottom. I chose not to go that route. Nicole and I like to do things a little bit simpler. So what I did was I used a high temperature paint and then basically just sprayed that all around the bottom of the Skottle and all of the wind barriers and stuff like that. Now coming to the wind barrier, that is something that is really, I believe, crucial for Skottles because of the burner is sitting right here. If you don't have a wind barrier, any wind or crosswinds, anything like that is going to be moving your flame, and you want that flame to be right up against the Skottle and heating that disc up as fast as you can, or as slow as you can, or as steadily as you can, because once the flame starts moving around, you're not going to get good constant heat. Now coming over to our other components, here we have, I call it a cradle. Basically, I just took some thin tubing. You can get most of this stuff at Hank's or Ace Hardware or anything like that. And then basically just kind of made a little cradle for our burner to sit into. So basically just came off of this post here, did another attachment off this post here for some back bracing, and then brought it around to this post. Kind of made like a little bit of a horseshoe design because I don't want to copy any companies or anything like that. And then basically the way it works is this just slides into place, just like so. So if you look here, you notice there's not a whole lot of wiggle room in here, right? Just enough to get the burner inside and out, right? That is very crucial to heating up these Skottles. Originally, when I first designed this burner was probably up to about here. And cooking on this took a long time. because the burner was not close to the plow disc, and all that heat was basically just being lost along the way. So I personally like to have, when I built this now, is have my burner as close to the disc as possible, but still be able to pull it out. Now coming around to our, I'll call them our posts, I guess, for our legs, our leg posts. Here, you basically just need to get some type of tubing that you can just weld straight on that will fit your legs. The legs we're going to talk about in a sec. I use 3/4 inch conduit. And then here we have our eyelet screws. The eyelet screws act as a lock for our for our legs. So when I put the legs in, if I want to move the Skottle to different locations, I can simply just pick the Skottle up and move it. I don't have to worry about the legs falling out, which is a really nice feature to have. As far as those go, pretty easy, pretty basic setup. You basically just drill a hole straight through the tubing and then just try and weld the nut straight in there, and that way you can just screw it in and they'll lock onto the, or screw into the legs and then screw it out, and then obviously you can take them out. So that is our basic setup for our Skottle. Again, if you guys have any questions on any of this stuff, please feel free to shoot me a message and I'll try and answer it. So we're going to be going over a lot of material in this video, so if you guys have any other questions, let me know. Coming to our burner, this is a Coleman burner. You can get these usually at Walmart for like 20 bucks. I think the plow disc itself from Tractor Supply was also $20, $30. And then here is our poles, or I'm sorry, our legs, our Skottle legs. These are basically 3/4 inch conduit. Now I chose conduit because I wanted something that was not going to have to worry about rusting or anything like that. This stuff is pretty sturdy, and it's also pretty lightweight as well. You also notice how we have a little bit of a gap here, and it's also the poles looks like it's a little bit bent. That's actually because this is an extension. So these legs can extend up and down. Now, why is this important? So for the Skottle, when you're putting this on different surfaces, obviously you're doing overlanding, we don't always have flat surfaces. So where the legs being able to extend come into play is if I need to move the Skottle and bring one side up or the other side down or anything like that, I can do that with these legs. That was a pretty easy process. With the conduit, I basically just took I think it was a 1/2 inch by 3 inch long bolt, put it in this side running this way, and then on this side I ran the nut, and then basically just hammered it in and just kind of used a vise and just smashed it around to kind of secure it into place. And then we of course have 3 of those. Now coming over to our fuel, you can really do 2 different routes. You can either do the little Coleman propane camping gas bottles, which are nice because they're lightweight, or you can do a propane tank. And then, of course, you will need to get the appropriate attachments. This, I believe, is a 3-foot gas line. Again, you can get this stuff usually at like Hanks or anything like that. Of course, you're going to need the propane attachment, and then you're also going to need the burner attachment. The burners do have a regulator built into them, so you do not need a regulator for your hose. But if you're going to take the regulator out, make sure your burner has a regulator built into it. Also, make sure if you guys are building your own lines, you use the yellow gas propane tape. You can kind of see it right here. It's this stuff right there. Make sure you guys use that for all your attachments. They also do make quick disconnect attachments for propane lines. We might be switching to that route later on. Just that way it's a little bit easier. We're not wearing our threads out quite as fast. So, but coming back to our propane options. So, green tanks. These work really nice, as I said. Pros, they are light. They are pretty easy to store because they're small. And you can also usually get these at any Walmart or any number of places, grocery store. A lot of grocery stores have them. So they're pretty easy to replace. Downside though, if you are camping in temperatures that are below, I want to say like 33 degrees, these will start to freeze. And if these start freezing, then you are not going to have constant heat that we were talking about for your Skottle, which is going to lead to you taking a lot longer to cook your food. So if you do go this route, get 2 of them. That way, a little hack that you can do is you can cycle them out. So if this one starts freezing, you can grab a fresh one and throw that one on there and start rotating them. Another thing you can do with these is if they start freezing, you can put hand warmers on them as well, and that'll kind of prevent them from freezing for a little bit. The upside of a larger propane tank, though, like this guy, this I want to say is a 3-gallon. I want to say it's a 3, but actually no, it might be 1.5. But anyway, the positives of that, or pros and cons for that. Pros, those they do not freeze as easily as one of the smaller propane tanks, because there's obviously more gas. The other thing though is, of course, the con. You also have more propane in there. Typically, these last longer. On our last trip, that was 14 days. We used like I said, we used our Skottle at least 2 to 3 times a day, and that thing's still full. And we used it at least, like I said, 2 to 3 times a day, 14-day trip. So you're talking at least 28 uses out of it. Obviously, it's going to depend on what you're cooking. If you cook like a tri-tip, that takes a lot longer to cook. It's not going to be the same as if you're just making like steaks, something cut steaks or carne asada or something that's going to be a lot faster. The only downside with the larger propane tanks, though, is obviously storage, which could be a problem for some of you. You're also dealing with a lot more gas, so if you're worried about that, maybe you want to get the little guys. And then storage itself is obviously that's a little bit bigger than the little green guys. But so far, we've switched over to the bigger tanks. The bigger tank, we've been having an awesome time with it. No problems at all. I honestly, personally, do not think that I will ever switch over to the smaller green gas tanks again. I just keep these as spares just in case I run out of gas for whatever reason on that. So, personal preference, I do the larger tank all day. Now, coming over here to utensils, these are probably 3 of my favorite friends for the Skottle. Tongs, metal, because obviously this gets really hot, so having some nice metal tongs comes in really, really big handy. Barbecue scraper for metal sponge for cleaning the Skottle. And then if it gets really hot, you can also clean it using one of these guys. Cleaning, easiest way I've kind of found to clean it is to just basically put some water on it, and then you can just basically kind of scrape it and then clean it. I personally like, this is kind of my favorite, is using this because I can kind of scrape off any leftover dirt or anything like that, or I'm sorry, any leftover food. Hopefully I don't have any dirt on this thing. Any leftover food or anything like that on there. Makes it a lot easier. Because the other thing is too, is when you put the water on here, it's going to get really hot because it's been sitting for a while. So having that longer handle and not burning yourself is obviously really nice. But yeah, sweet. So what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to put everything back in the bags and everything like that, and I'm going to show you basically how I set up our Skottle. And what I usually do is I usually put the propane tank over the top, because that way, in case if it any splashes or anything like that, it doesn't get on the propane tank. All of my cooking utensils I usually leave right here. And then usually throw this bag right here in case I need to grab anything else out of it. And then yeah, that's it. I'm pretty much all ready to go. I'm ready to start cooking. The only thing I will say is if you guys can, uh, these work really good. This is an old Forest Service hose pack. 16-inch Skottle fits in here perfectly, along with all the other propane lines and then cooking utensils and anything else you might have. So yeah, if you guys can, try and get a hold of one of these. Just kind of makes everything nice and packed. I know overlanding, it's cool. It's good to have something in some type of pack or something like that, just so you can move it around and carry it around if you need to. All right, everybody, that is pretty much it in a nutshell. Super easy setup, um, just exactly how we like it. You guys know that's the place. That is the way that Nicole and I do enjoy camping. As far as cooking with the Skottle, I love it. I don't think I will ever go back to camp stove or any other form of cooking ever again. It really opens up your avenue. It's easy to cook on. It's fast. It's super easy to clean, which is huge because our old setup took a while to clean. This is no problem at all. You will have to make adjustments as far as to like the order you will need to cook stuff. Like if you need to cook something greasy, you probably want to cook that last because all the grease is going to sit in the Skottle. Or you might want to cook it first. You never know. Stuff's always good to cook in cooking bacon grease, so that's never a bad thing. I am also coming up in the works. I am thinking about maybe doing some Skottle like cooking ideas and like cooking, not classes, but like stuff that you can cook on the Skottle. That stuff that's easy, super easy to cook and stuff like that. So if you guys are interested, shoot me a comment or let me know what you guys think. Think of some, maybe start getting some recipes together, some stuff that'd be cool to cook as far as camp cooking. Let's see what else. Oh, got to thank all the guys for helping us out with the truck so far. Overland Vehicle Systems and the Awning's been awesome, and then it's been incredible. We enjoy I can't tell you enough how much I enjoy having this awning. And then of course our lights from Baja Designs. They've been tremendous, especially on the trail. It's awesome having some really good solid lights and then a company that stands by their products. And I will continue to only choose companies that I fully support. Like I've gotten a couple, not trying to toot my own horn here, but I've gotten a couple of people that have asked me to showcase their products, and some of them I felt like I didn't have the right connection with them, like they weren't giving me the information that I wanted for their products, and these are the two companies that I respect and I will enjoy, and I am only gonna showcase stuff that I feel like is good quality. It's made in America, of course, and that stuff that I know you as customers, if you guys are buying any of their stuff, that they are going to take care of you, because that's honestly what this is all about, is making sure that we not only take care of each other, but obviously we get ourselves taken care of as well. Also coming up, let's see here. I'm probably thinking about starting doing some overlanding hacks and stuff like that. So stay tuned for that. A lot of stuff's in the works, so hopefully you guys are all excited and you guys are all enjoying all the videos and everything like that. If you guys want to check out some of our pictures and stuff, go over to Clinetimephotography. That's my Instagram, and you guys can check out some of the pictures from our recent trips. I still got the footage coming from our last NorCal, Oregon, and Washington trip that should be coming up here shortly. So, yeah, hopefully you guys are enjoying everything, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.